Gettysburg, a name etched in history, a small town that would become the site of one of the most pivotal moments in American history. Over 150 years ago, this land was transformed into a battlefield where courage, sacrifice, and the fate of a nation hung in the balance. Today, we're here walking in the footsteps of those who fought and sacrificed so much through those dark days. From the hallowed grounds of the Gettysburg battlefield to the haunting walls of the Jenny Wade House and the broken hearts of the orphanage, we're uncovering the untold stories that still linger in the air. But this isn't just what happened here. It's about what still lives here. Stay with us as we dive into the history of Gettysburg, laying the foundation for the investigation we'll reveal next week.
Here we are in the Gettysburg National Historic Park.
If you go right. So Pickett's charge basically was the second day of the battle. The Confederates had tried to take Little Round Top because Little Round Top was the high ground of the area, and if you could get cannon up there, you could really control the whole battlefield. Yeah, and it was Josh Chamberlain's 20th Maine Regiment that happened to see that was vulnerable, raced up there, and basically defeated the Confederates that were trying to take it, and it basically saved the battle for the Union. And then on the second day, Lee decided, okay, we're going to send 10,000 infantrymen, and we're going to try to break the center of the Union line. The command of George Pickett started a mile across the field to our left here, and in the middle of the afternoon in July, in a hot sun, 90-some degrees, they came running across. And the Union were ready for them, had all their cannon loaded with double canister, and it was a complete bloodbath. Where we're headed right now, actually, is what the focus of Pickett's charge was. It was this area, and there's a copse of trees up here, and we'll see all this stuff. It was this area that was considered the high watermark of the Confederacy, because it was the farthest point north that the Confederate armies ever made.
Little Round Top was a critical hill during the Battle of Gettysburg, fought on July 2, 1863. Positioned on the left flank of the Union line, it offered a strategic vantage point. If the Confederates had captured it, they could have flanked the Union Army, potentially turning the tide of the battle. In a fierce defense, Union soldiers, including the 20th Maine, under Colonel Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain, successfully held their ground against the repeated Confederate attacks, securing the position and playing a key role in the Union victory. Jenny Wade was a 20-year-old woman from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, when the Battle of Gettysburg raged through her town in July of 1863. As Union and Confederate forces clashed, Jenny stayed behind to care for her family and bake bread for the soldiers. On July 3rd, while she was in her sister's home, a Confederate sharpshooter fired a single bullet that struck Jenny in the back, killing her instantly. She became the only civilian woman to die during the battle. Today, Jenny Wade's home has been preserved as a museum, standing as a memorial to her sacrifice and the many others who suffered in the name of freedom. Her name remains etched in the history of Gettysburg, forever a symbol of the human cost of war. After the Battle of Gettysburg, many children were left orphaned.
It's like,
Yeah, just horrible to the kids and stuff. And she would stick them down in that.
We'll show you.
Yeah,
The kids.
she'd stick them back
Shackle
in.
them to the wheels of the cellar.
Yeah, just, I mean, yeah, I remember during research, I think it was Susie who had pulled it up, where it was like some of the writings about Annie and that nasty lady who ran the orphanage was kind of based on the stories of this lady and just how horrible she was.
And it was a wrap. I always try to debunk.
Yeah.
What is the
Always look for
scientific
the real
reason
answer.
for this? When there's none, that's when I say, oh hell, there's ghosts.
Yeah.
There
Well,
are
I'm a firm
spirits.
believer. You got to remember, for every race of human beings since the beginning of time talk about some sort of
Yes.
an experience with the afterlife. So there has to be a truth, whether it's, when we pass on, we're stuck, whether it's time overlapping, when we pass on, it just replays a period of time, or whether, like right now, there's, people who thinking they were hearing us as spirits in a future time.
Yes.
Time overlaps. There's
You guys had no idea it was there.
I think Max, the owner, knew it was there, but it's locked, so we could have a Geraldo Rivera show if you remember Geraldo.
That's something you found.
phone vault didn't go too
You found it in the wall and you haven't opened it?
We have not cracked it yet. If you look around the front, this is original.
Front is more
The
modern.
tag is original. That Brinks lock looks too new to me.
Yeah, well, they might have had to punch out the lock in the past.
Correct.
Which was a common thing, and if you forgot it back then, you'd punch out the lock and then you just reinsert a new one in there.
Yes. But research showed Brinks has been around since 1859. But that looks too new to me. But yes, we're getting a locksmith to come in. I'm hoping it's loaded with money because I have big plans for this place. It's going to be a parlor.
Oh, man.
The knob is plastic.
It is said that under Carmichael's harsh rules, the orphanage took a dark turn. Children, many of them sons and daughters of fallen soldiers, were treated cruelly. Some were chained up in the basement, a chilling reminder of their suffering. The chains still remain on the wall today, offering a glimpse into the torment they endured. The children were also forced to work the land, often laboring in harsh conditions that stripped away their childhood and innocence. Rosa Carmichael turned the basement into a dungeon, a place for punishment, where children faced unimaginable cruelty. It was a place of fear and isolation, where young lives were broken by the harsh, unyielding conditions. The history of this orphanage is one of deep sorrow and pain, and it's no surprise that it has earned a place among the many haunted locations in Gettysburg. The spirits of those children are said to still haunt the grounds, their tortured memories lingering long after the doors of the orphanage were closed. Today, the echoes of their suffering can still be felt, as the orphanage stands as a grim reminder of a time when the innocent paid the price for the cruelty of war.